So, Manu, first of all, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
We go on with the interview. Can you tell something more about yourself and the country you worked in?
Yes, so as you know, I'm Manu. I'm currently 22 years old and I'm from Belgium.
Yeah.
I grew up in Kokstede, but I moved to Ghent to study. I have a bachelor in social work and a master's degree in gender studies. And I've lived in Kenya for about a year and a half, working as an expat in Nairobi for IOM, that's the International Organization for Migration, a department of the UN.
Okay, pretty interesting.
Thank you.
So we all know that we can't complain about our lifestyle here in Belgium. We have all the things that we want and stuff. But what about the lifestyle over there? I bet it was way different.
Yeah, the lifestyle is quite different. For example, Kenya, it's on the equator, so at 6 p.m. it's dark, which means in Kenya you cannot, after 6 p.m. you cannot just walk somewhere, you cannot walk home or to the shop. It's just too dangerous, so you always have to take a cab or drive. But even driving is an issue in Kenya because the traffic, first of all, is really crazy. And second of all, you have to import a car. So as an expat, it's quite expensive to own your own car. So you just use Uber or have your own driver.
So you have Uber over there?
Yeah, we have Uber. And it is actually quite a safe option because the Uber app has a safety button. So if something goes wrong or you don't feel safe, you can always just use it. So in a third world country where safety can be an issue, this is really helpful. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. And was it expensive to buy food and stuff?
Well, actually, that also depended. Like stuff like food, groceries, restaurant, public transport. Those things are really cheap. You can take the bus in Kenya for 10 cents.
Yeah.
You can have a meal in a local restaurant for €1.50. But other things are really expensive. For example, housing. Housing in Kenya can be up to the same price as in Belgium or even more expensive. And this is because, first of all, Kenya has a really big expat community. Many international organizations have their headquarters of Africa in Nairobi, which means there's many expats living there. So the housing prices go up. But also, because of security and safety, again, you have to live in gated communities. You need 24/7 security. You need
security 24/7.
Yeah, there's 24/7 security systems because in Kenya there's many thefts and stuff. So your apartments and actually the whole community is secured. So you just share the security with your neighbors. And another thing that makes it quite expensive is the fact that you need a backup generator because often there's no electricity, so you need your own backup, and you need boreholes with water supplies because when there's heavy rains in the rainy season, often you don't have water because the systems are blocked, so you need your own borehole. So because of all these things, you pay a lot of money for an apartment.
Why did you decide to go to move abroad, and why Kenya?
Well, actually, when I was 18, I went to Kenya for the first time. I don't know, I had 3 months of holidays and I wanted to do something. So I signed up for a volunteer program in Kenya. And I've stayed there for 3 months, just volunteering and traveling around. And I went back every year. And actually, I used to intern at IOM when I got the job opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to do it because I've thought a lot about that question, why Kenya?
Yeah, why of all the countries, why Kenya?
Yeah, because I think it's because of the big contrast between the big city life in Nairobi and the amazing nature in Kenya. Because Nairobi is such a huge, busy city. You're always in traffic jams. There's always a lot of noise. There's a lot of pollution too. But it's also a very nice city. You can compare it to big cities in Europe. It has a very big music scene. There's a lot of things to do, festivals. You can go brunch every Sunday. So your life is quite the same as in Belgium if it comes to free time. But after 5 days working in such a busy city, it's so nice that during the weekend you can just go to one of the nice lakes in Kenya, to the safari parks. Yeah, there's an amazing nature in Kenya, and you can it's just a 30-minute drive, maybe an hour drive, and you're in a totally different world. So that's the thing. That's something I miss in Belgium.
Yeah. Did you travel all alone, or have any colleagues over there?
So I've moved to Kenya alone, but I had many colleagues and many friends in Kenya. So, for example, at IOM, my colleagues were mixed. So I had expat colleagues from Europe, America, Australia, but I also had many Kenyan colleagues. So this mix was really nice and really interesting. And I must say, Nairobi, and I think that's in many countries, as an expat, you make really easily friends because
it's easy to make a network with them or to make contacts.
Yeah. Very easy to network because in many countries there's a very big expat community on social media. So on Facebook, for example, you have Nairobi Expat Social, that's a Facebook group. You have a Facebook group, Nairobi Expat Housing, Nairobi Expat Nature, Nairobi Expat Dinner, everything you can imagine. So if you're bored or you just arrived and you don't have friends yet, you just look in those groups. There's always someone who's like, oh, I'm going hiking this weekend. If you want to join, just come. Or we're going for dinner, just come this hour, this restaurant. So you just go, you show up, and you make new friends. So.
We should have this in Belgium too. So.
Yeah, actually, yeah. But in Belgium we have it for expats. That's probably true. But yeah, it's easy because I've been in Rwanda too, and there's the same system. And also for expats, there's these platforms like Internations, and there's another one, I think Belgians in the world or something. And those platforms also connect you to other expats. So it's very easily to make friends.
Did you experience any trouble to adapt to the local culture?
Well, Kenya is a very different culture than Belgium because it has 43 tribes. And there's a very big gap between those tribes. There's tribes that are really primitive and live in rural areas and have very local traditions. But you also have other tribes that are just the same as us, have the same, do the same things, have the same traditions. So there are many things that were difficult because I have a background in gender studies. Yeah. And in Kenya, you still have a lot of FGM, so female genital mutilation. There's child marriage and other traditions like that. So those were things when you got into contact with that sometimes were difficult, but you also learn, you get trainings at work. They give trainings to you to how to cope with those things. And yeah.
It was a big shock in the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. So there's been some experiences that I didn't really know how to cope with. So
we all see horrible things on the television about things in Africa, and I don't know about Kenya. But what was for you the most shocking or eye-opening experience when you were there?
So for me, the most shocking one was the fact that I was invited to a wedding. So when you live in a gated community, you have security guards, and one of my security guards was a Maasai man, so a guy from the Maasai tribe, and he was marrying a girl, and he invited us to the wedding. So we traveled very far to his village, and when we got there, we saw the bride, and we saw she was only 11 years old.
11?
Yeah. So the guy was 29, and the girl was 11 years old. So once you're there, you're on the wedding. There's nothing else. You cannot just escape because it was 6 hours from Nairobi. So it was really difficult to be part of something you do not support. So yeah, that was very eye-opening and very shocking at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. So our conclusion, if you have to give us one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would just say just do it, because moving abroad alone can be a little anxious and it can bring a lot of fears with it. But I would say take the risk, jump and do it, because for me it's been an amazing experience. You meet a lot of people. It's not only the culture, you don't only get to know the culture you're moving to, but also many others, since you're going to be involved in an expat community. So it gives you different views on the world, and it's really amazing.
Yeah, but give you friends all over the world. And
yes, exactly.
Okay, so Manu, thank you for your time. It was pretty
You're
interesting.
welcome.
Thank you.